Good morning. It is Wednesday, and we've got some possible weather that's heading our way. Hopefully you are preparing for it, and that winter storm watch in effect from tomorrow until December 24th, just before Christmas. And it's winter. What can I say? I mean, today's officially the start of winter, so we've got that storm to contend with. And something I think that a lot of people need to be mindful of, especially for those of us who haven't driven in wintry conditions in quite some time, since the beginning of this year. But with winter upon us, looks like we are going to have a nice white Christmas. So very much looking forward to that. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And you can always chime in live and local at 217-629-7970. Just an idea of some of what we've got coming up today. We, of course, had two hearings yesterday that were of some pretty important significance. One of those being the Safety Act lawsuit. We'll actually hear a little bit of that coming up. And also, we had the nearly 5-hour-long hearing on a proposed gun ban in Illinois. And we will be unpacking quite a bit of that all throughout the rest of this hour. So stay tuned for that here on WMAY. But then in the 7 o'clock hour, we got the Council Roundup, a review of last night's Springfield City Council meeting. A lot of things discussed there. So we'll keep an eye on all of that for you as well. But you can always chime in live and local, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here for WMAY. Or you can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com. And amazing. I've been on Twitter for 14 years today, which kind of blows me away. So what are you going to do about that? Just looking at the time, just slipping through our fingers. So let's get to some headlines. Of course, we've got a powerful holiday week winter storm that's going to unfold across the country Thursday, and with it unleashing snow and strong winds here in Illinois. The timing of the storm couldn't be worse. Millions rushing to finish their shopping for the holidays and also embarking on their holiday travels. You've got the situation up in Chicago where they're even encouraging people to possibly reschedule their flights, which that could put a damper on holiday travel. But meteorologist Ed Shimon with the National Weather Service in Lincoln, he says that the storm will pretty much affect the entire state come Thursday.
The whole state's going to see some impacts, especially because of the cold. Wind chills are going to be 20 to 30 below zero, Thursday night, Friday, even into Saturday.
Now, Maria Castaneda, the Illinois Department of Transportation, says that blowing and drifting snow will create challenges for their fleet of snowplows trying to clear the roadways.
If there's areas where it isn't the high winds, we will definitely get out and pre-salt and then change over into what's called the plowing operation, as that progresses.
Now, the snow is expected to start falling Thursday morning, continuing through Friday. Could be heavy at times, according to the National Weather Service. But, if we only get 4 inches to 5 inches, it's the blowing snow that's going to be a problem with wind gusts up to 40-plus miles an hour. So be mindful of all of that. All right, let's delve into some of what we'll hear about a little bit later here concerning the proposed ban on semi-automatic weapons in Illinois. They held a nearly 5-hour hearing, and a little bit later on, we will delve into a lot of what they discussed, but here's just a little sample of what was discussed. You had State Representative Justin Slaughter reveal that they're still going to have some hearings on this heading into the new year.
Obviously, this plane has not landed. With that said, this is our last hearing this year, this calendar year. As I stated in the beginning, please look forward to more robust discussion and more hearings.
But you've got Todd Vandermeide, a Second Amendment advocate, saying that this seems untenable, especially with more than 70 counties in Illinois being what gun rights advocate Todd Vandermeide said are Second Amendment sanctuaries. And how is it going to be enforced there? Todd Vandermeide, and go.
You will have civil disobedience to where people aren't going to register things. They're not going to surrender things. They're not going to turn them in. So I ask you, what is the enforcement mechanism? Are you going to send the state police house to house?
Now, state police also testified. Brendan Kelly there taking some questions, and they talked about how much this is going to cost, though they didn't give exact figures. Here's Brendan Kelly.
My feeling is the Illinois State Police, you give us enough resources, we can put a man on the moon if that's what the General Assembly wants us to do.
So how much? Still not 100% sure it's going to cost, but he says it'll take some software to register guns and also sworn officers to enforce the law. But Ed Sullivan with the Illinois State Rifle Association, he said that the way this law is crafted right now, it's really going to lead to disproportionate enforcement impacting minority communities.
I can take my firearms, my mags. I can go across the border. I have the means. What about the people that don't? What about the people you're just going to criminalize them?
So we'll cover a lot of this, not just those voices, but plenty of other voices, and that's coming up here in just about 7 minutes, so stay tuned for that. But another hearing that happened yesterday wasn't a House hearing. It was a court hearing dealing with the Safety Act and the Pretrial Fairness Act. Now, the case was a combined lawsuit of around 60 states' attorneys from across the state. Judge Thomas Cunningham heard those arguments. Now, Kankakee State's Attorney Jim Rowe, he argued against the Safety Act and claimed that the measure is unconstitutional by violating the state's single subject law, which confines legislation to only one subject. And the arguments were laid out by the opponents of the Safety Act. But Darren Kincaid, who argued on behalf of the state, he said that the provisions of the Safety Act are constitutional and asserted that they're not violating the law because all conditions are related to the criminal justice system. Now, Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow, he was there sitting next to Rowe, and he talked afterwards with one of my reporters up there in Kankakee, and he said, it's now up to the judge.
We'll just have to wait and see. The judge is a fair judge, and he'll give us a good ruling. And I really appreciate the fact that he's getting it done before the first of the year.
So the judge will take it under advisement and expected to rule next week. So we'll watch that space closely as well while everybody enjoys the holidays. Some other headlines here. In Congress, lawmakers unveiled their $1.7 trillion measure that would prevent a shutdown, they say. But it would also give a whole bunch more money to Ukraine as well. So we'll watch and see what happens there. Last night on Twitter, Elon Musk saying he is looking for some kind of CEO to take over, whoever's willing to do that. But he's also highlighting how the most recent set of Twitter files that Michael Schellenberger put out on Twitter shows the FBI worked to further cover up some news stories, but also that apparently the Pentagon was involved as well, trying to craft public perception overseas by using Twitter. So that was revealed, and Elon Musk saying that it's important to realize government paid Twitter millions of dollars to censor information from the public. And he's saying that it'd be good to see some kind of church-type commission to investigate the FBI and intelligence operations involved in all of that. Another social media story, Congress is moving to ban TikTok from federal devices. We've already seen a lot of different, states look to ban TikTok on their state-owned communication devices like cell phones. So that obviously is in the social media space, and watching that closely. But finally here, just another headline, Mars lander no longer in contact. And this is the lander that's power levels have been dwindling for months because of dust coating on the solar panels. Maybe they need to work in some kind of sweeping technology to remotely brush off some of that dust. All right, coming back, let's go ahead and get to the gun debate. The third and final hearing this year for HB 5855. You'll hear the proponents and you'll hear the opponents in some detail. It's coming up next here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk, and let's take a look at Springfield's dependable 5-day forecast, where today you've got a high of mid-30s, and then winds are going to be mild, but overnight cloudy with a low of 31. Thursday, rain, then snow, with snow heavy at times. The temperature is going to fall to around single digits in the afternoon, with the wind chill down to possibly minus 15. Wind gusts up to 38 miles an hour and 2 to 4 inches of snow. Thursday night, blowing snow with a low of minus 6. Friday, got widespread blowing snow with a high of only 3, 26-mile-an-hour winds with gusts up to 45 miles an hour. Friday night, patchy blowing snow with the low down to minus 1. Saturday, patchy snow with a high of 10. Right now, at 6:20, We've got around 22 degrees at 620 from Culver's West on Wabash.
It's time to apply at Culver's West on Wabash. We're hiring all positions, and did we mention free food? Only at Culver's West on Wabash.
Since 1958, Springfield Overhead Doors by Heart has been serving Central Illinois with the highest quality, most dependable garage doors and service. It's because of your loyalty that we continue to grow year after year. Right now, we're looking for experienced technicians, and we offer industry-leading pay and benefits. If you've got the experience and are interested in joining our local, trusted, and family-owned business, get in touch with us. Springfield Overhead Doors by Heart, an equal opportunity employer.
Giving blood while giving back to fight hunger. Right now, when you donate blood at the Impact Life Donor Center, we'll make a $10 donation to Feed America on your behalf. Feed America partners with local food banks. Every $10 donated helps provide 100 meals for people facing hunger. See? Giving blood while giving back to fight hunger. Even if you try to give blood and find out you can't, we're still making a donation to Feed America on your behalf. So don't delay. Make your appointment today. Giving blood is not a big deal, and you're done before you know it. Visit the Impact Life Donor Center today at Wabash and Chatham Road near Goodwill in Springfield, or on South Main Street in Decatur. Please, give what's in your heart, because we are changing the world together. Visit bloodcenter.org.
If you've already donated to a food bank, just let them know. They've got a voucher for a $10 gift card for you instead. Visit bloodcenter.org.
John, the price of groceries is enough to send somebody into a panic mode these days.
Yeah, especially when the refrigerator goes kaput.
Even more so. We got a call from a customer who had that problem with a freezer load of those expensive groceries.
And that'll keep you awake at night just thinking about it.
Right. So, because Dick Van Dyke stocks the 100 most used parts, we were able to send a factory-trained tech out to her place to fix the problem before she lost any of that food.
And he wasn't some subcontractor either.
Trained right here locally by the team of Dick Van Dyke.
You know, one way to fight inflation?
Yep.
Keep from having to buy expensive stuff twice.
Yes, you got that right.
This is Dennis Regan, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store, which means you have the comfort of knowing that if anything goes wrong, we'll make it right. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store. Rex with a double X battery. Generations of power.
Here's what we believe at Rex Battery. You should be able to find the right battery when you need it. Our company started when my dad needed a battery for his car, and he built it himself. Today, more than 50 years later, we are still making sure you can find the right battery you need. And that includes the common batteries people use every day to the hard-to-find batteries used in big farm equipment. While online outlets are struggling with supply chain issues, we have shelves full of batteries. The best part is we're right here in town and ready to help today. Hearing aids, power tools, and the car in your garage. If it takes a battery, you can find the battery at Rex Battery, Clear Lake, just west of Dirksen.
Rex with a double X battery. Generations of power.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Online means no lines. When you're ordering from Head West, go to headwestsubs.com and get fed without waiting in line.
I don't want the same old thing. I got a craving for a Head West brownie today. Yeah!
The WMAY Daily Poll is sponsored by Adams Pest Control for commercial, residential, real estate inspections, and termite control. Cast your vote with the WMAY mobile app or at WMAY.com/poll.
And today's poll question deals with what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the hour, and that's proposed gun control legislation to ban the sale of, quote, assault weapons, as the poll says, and high-capacity magazines, as the poll asks. Yes or no? Most of you so far this morning say no at 56%. We'll keep you updated all throughout the program this morning on WMAY. It's brought to you by Adams Pest Control.
Springfield's Morning News with Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY.
All right, tons of debate to get to from yesterday's nearly 5-hour committee hearing in the Illinois House dealing with House Bill 5855. That's the measure to ban nearly 100 semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, and pistols, but also would ban the possession of certain types of magazines that hold more than 10 rounds and prohibit anyone under the age of 21 from getting a firearm owner identification card. That would obviously raise a lot of questions about the constitutionality of all of this. We'll try to get some of your phone calls in later on, but I've got tons to get through with yesterday's hearing. And we start with Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart, who addressed the committee as a panel of different law enforcement officials. He supports the idea of banning certain types of semi-automatic weapons. And here is some of what Tom Dart had to say. He even brought some props with him to lay out for the committee people to see in front of them when he talks about large capacity magazines. So here is Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart.
These are everywhere, and we need something done now. We need it done now. The lethality is absolutely amazing. If you ever tried to witness someone shooting with one of these things, when they put it on fully automatic, the chances of them actually hitting the person they're aiming is infinitesimal. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is innocent people all around are going to get slaughtered. That's what's going to happen. These things are designed for that. There is no sane person who's going to sit there and say, in our society, we should have these. And you know, folks, we all will be judged by history. We will. And I'll tell you what, 100 years from now, when they look at this era and what was going on, and the violence upon our children and innocent people each and every day, they're going to look back on us, and history is not going to be kind. And you know what? We own it. We own it. Each and every person who sits there and makes up some fantasy of why these are okay. They have some role in our society. They make up these fantasies year in, year out, and why we should have these things. That is wrong. They know they're lying. They know that. And what's happening is people are dying. And we need to do something about it. And that's why, you know, Bob, when you called me about this, I couldn't wait to get here today. Because the notion that something's going to get done to help our communities, oh my God, do we need this?
So Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart laying out why he supports banning certain types of weapons, and a whole host of other debate was had, including a presentation by the Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly, and he was also asked questions by Savannah Republican State Representative Tony McCombie, the incoming House Republican leader. And here's some of what the State Police Director had to say, and the questions and the responses.
In a timely manner. Anytime the Illinois State Police have had any issues complying with statutory things, it's because we've had instability. You can look at the funds that were swept in 15 and 17 that created some instability within the Firearms Safety Bureau, and that led to, in part, some of the backlogs we had with avoid and concealed carry. We are well within the statutory timeframes now because we've had stability in that funding, the ability to plan for hiring, the ability to plan for new technology to be implemented, and that has allowed us to bring those numbers down. My feeling is the Illinois State Police, you give us enough resources, we can put a man on the moon, if that's what the General Assembly wants us to do. Looking at the mission that is outlined here within this bill, we believe we can accomplish that, and we'll be able to answer ready so long as we have that support and those resources.
I presume there's hundreds of thousands of these listed firearms legally owned today, and if this passes, they won't be. How are you going to enforce compliance?
And that will be part of our normal enforcement efforts. When we find something that is not in compliance with the law, either because it's a prohibitor or it's a ghost gun or it's a switch or whatever the case may be that makes it unlawful, that will just be one of the categories that our folks will be enforcing as they come across these firearms. But in terms of the individuals who that will be allowed to retain them and they'll be allowed to keep them, that's what some of those additional resources we'll need for the unsworn personnel to set up essentially kiosks to make it convenient for folks to be able to do the process that's outlined in this legislation, so they can keep those. The information is on file with the Illinois State Police pursuant to this statute. That'll be less of an enforcement mechanism and more of a compliance mechanism.
Your resources that you have today, and this is just really for the public, I mean, is that going to be utilized to target high-profile individuals or, social media folks that are today law-abiding, but if this passes, will not be? How are you going to, I guess, can I have your assurance that those folks aren't going to be targeted?
Absolutely. They will not be. We take our commitment to due process and our commitment to protecting everyone's rights, whatever amendment the Bill of Rights it is, we take those rights seriously. And we only investigate things when there's reasonable suspicion, there's probable cause, there's various legal standards that allow us to be able to use any of the tools we have, whether it's just conducting investigation on the street or anywhere out there in the community, or it's online, it's on the dark web, on whatever medium it is or whatever environment it is, our folks are doing their job. We have to adhere strictly to the Constitution.
So that is Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly testifying yesterday at that House hearing, which was nearly 5 hours long. We've got so much more to get to. We'll hear from some of the opponents, including the Illinois State Rifle Association and Todd Vandermeide, who's a very outspoken gun owner rights individual. So stay tuned. That's coming up here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY. We may also try to get some of your phone calls at 217-629-7970. Right now, though, we got to take a break for news at 6:32 on WMAY.
92.7 WMAY.
Here are the three big things you need to know.
I'm Don Howard. Our top story. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with Joe Biden in Washington and later address Congress on Wednesday. It will be Zelensky's first known trip abroad since Russia invaded in February. The war has seen tens of thousands killed and wounded on both sides of the conflict, as well as devastation for Ukrainian civilians. U.S. lawmakers are set to vote on a year-end spending package that includes about $45 billion in emergency assistance to Ukraine, while the Pentagon prepares to send Patriot surface-to-air missiles to the country. The National Weather Service predicts 3 to 5 inches of snow Thursday for the Springfield area. Forecasters say plunging temperatures and wind gusts of up to 50 miles an hour will create blizzard-like conditions and wind chills of 30 degrees below zero that will make travel hazardous both Thursday and Friday. A winter storm watch has been issued from 6 a.m. Thursday to 6 a.m. Saturday. Stay with 92.7 WMAY for updates on the developing weather situation. The Springfield School Board could vote next month to keep a supply of Narcan on hand in city schools for fast response to an opioid overdose at school. It's part of a proposed revision to the district's policy on administering medication at school. The proposal from the Illinois Association of School Boards also updates policies on the administration of medical cannabis. The policy allows students with a medical marijuana card to take the drug under the supervision of a school nurse, but not in a form that could be smoked or vaped. Some top law enforcement officials are urging state lawmakers to do more to get assault weapons off the streets. During the latest legislative committee hearing on a proposed assault weapons ban, Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart said his deputies are overwhelmed by the number and lethality of the weapons they are encountering on the streets. Chicago police say they have confiscated more than 1,100 assault weapons so far this year. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the bill, which would also ban the sale of large-capacity ammunition magazines early next year. The fate of Illinois' Safety Act and the end of cash bail in the state may come right down to the wire. Arguments were heard Tuesday in a consolidated lawsuit made up of complaints filed by more than 60 states' attorneys, including Sangamon County's Dan Wright. They argued that the new law is unconstitutionally vague and takes away discretion regarding bail granted to judges by the state constitution. The Kankakee County judge plans a written ruling by December 28th, 3 days before the law will take effect. The call is going out for blood donations to make up for an anticipated upcoming shortfall in the blood supply. The holiday season usually leads to a drop-off in donations of more than 20% for 2 to 3 weeks. Medical professionals say the need for blood because of accidents, surgeries, and other uses will not go down, so it's critical to find donors to help make up the gap in blood supply. Impact Life is offering a $20 electronic gift card and other incentives to encourage donations. You can learn more and schedule a donation at bloodcenter.org. Your dependable 5-day forecast is next on WMAY.
The last thing you want to do is disappoint your mom. Well, remember how she'd always tell you not to show up empty-handed when you're invited to a party or family gathering? And remember how she always said you should support local businesses? Make mom proud on both counts by showing up with a gift from Elkhart Station. They offer a wide variety of food items, wines, and gift items made right here in Illinois, sure to impress the host or hostess. Mom would definitely approve. Elkhart Station, Route 66 in the heart of downtown Elkhart.
The most festive bus in the nation will be lighting up the Memorial Holiday Fest and Old Capitol Holiday Walks. Holly, the SMTD Holiday Bus will be on display during the walks. And this year, you can ride the Saturday Shuttle on a route designed just for the Memorial Holiday Fest. The shuttle starts at Union Station on Madison and runs from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So easy to enjoy the downtown sights and shopping. To find out where Holly, the bright and beautiful holiday bus, will be, shuttle, route maps, and the full transit schedule, go to smtd.org.
What's the best thing to do with your money during uncertain times? Financial experts agree products like certificates of deposit and money market accounts can be a safe haven from a bumpy economy. At Warren Boynton State Bank, we've been helping people find ways for their money to make money for 145 years. Certificates of deposit, or CDs, give you a guaranteed return on your money. Money market accounts are a way to let your money earn higher interest with the flexibility of a checking account. These are just two options we have at Warren Boynton, each designed to give your money security, and they just might help you sleep better at night. At Warren Boynton, you can say we've seen a few things over the years. A lot has happened since we opened our doors in 1877, but no matter what was going on in the rest of the world, we've stood by folks in Central Illinois. A little extra confidence during challenging economic times. Warren Boynton State Bank, WBSB.net, member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Warren Boynton, your bank.
Hi, it's Taylor Stevens from Synergy Home Care. Catch our business spotlight this afternoon at 5:40 on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.
Your dependable 5-day forecast on WMAY. Cloudy today and tonight with a high near 34, low around 31. Tomorrow, rain early, turning to snow before 9 a.m. Blizzard conditions with wind chill values about 10 below. Snow accumulation of 3 to 5 inches. Wind chill values tomorrow night between 20 and 30 below zero. Friday, partly sunny, windy and cold with a high near 3. And Christmas Eve, sunny, windy and cold with a high near 10. I'm Don Howard, 92.7 WMAY.
Weather sponsored by Lauterbach Tire and Auto, home of Stage 2 service. Drive safely now.
How would you like to work for the area's premier multimedia marketing and advertising company right here in Springfield? Well, here's your opportunity. At Midwest Family, we're looking for talented and dynamic account executives who thrive in a fast-paced working environment. Those who are passionate, self-motivated, goal-oriented, and highly competitive. Are you a problem solver with great communication skills? Do you have a grasp on today's digital media? And do you have the ability to cultivate lasting relationships and partnerships? If this sounds like this is for you, apply online today at MidwestFamilySPI.com and click on our careers tab. At Midwest Family Springfield, we offer unique sales career opportunities where you're given a challenging mission, world-class tools like HubSpot CRM, ongoing training, and the chance to realize your full potential as a marketing and advertising sales professional. This is Rob Zavitka, Director of Sales and Business Development Manager at Midwest Family Springfield. Are you my next candidate? If so, please apply online today at MidwestFamilySPI.com and click on the Careers tab. Midwest Family is an equal opportunity employer.
For contractors, it's true that time is money. Let Menards save you a bit of both. You'll find the best selection and prices in our real lumber yards and drive-through warehouses. You can drive right up to the materials you purchased in-store or on Menards.com with plenty of room to load them directly into your truck or van. It's more efficient at Menards. We help contractors get in, out, and back on the job.
Save big money at Menards.
Sale? Sale? I say up to 80% off is a sale.
Now at A.B. Lauer Jewelers on West Isles, just off Chatham Road.
At A.B. Lauer, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
Hey, this is Brian. Christmas is almost here, and I'm getting nervous. I still have a lot of jewelry to clear out, so we're now up to 80% off. It's gotta go.
At A.B. Lauer, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is today's Eye on Travel Minute. The long airport layover. Are you just stuck at the airport every time you're flying? Not necessarily. In many cases, you can take a fun and often enlightening mini-trip by getting outside the airport. Tokyo's airport still offers tours of the city for layover passengers. So does Singapore. At Chicago's O'Hare, the CTA trains run right from the airport, so you can hop one and be downtown in about 25 minutes. In Los Angeles, smart and also hungry layover passengers know to go outside the airport and right next to runway 24 right. That's where you'll find not just an In-N-Out burger, but one of the best plane spotting locations in the United States. For more information, visit petergreenberg.com. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is today's Eye on Travel Minute.
Beco's new dishwashers use 1/3 the energy and half the water of U.S. standards for dishwashers. And from now until December 31st, you can save up to $200 in gift card rebates on eligible models. Visit Beco.com for more details.
92.7 WMAY.
Springfield's news and talk.
Well, we're back and delving deep into the arguments heard during a nearly 5-hour House hearing on House Bill 5855. That's the measure to ban certain types of semi-automatic rifles, pistols, shotguns, and magazines over 10 rounds. And we've heard all kinds of supporters from Moms Demand Action, GPAC, even Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart. Not necessarily indicative of all of law enforcement's sentiments, but still some interesting comments made and the props that were brought up as well. But let's hear some of the opponents. Illinois State Rifle Association's already said they plan to sue, and they're not negotiating on a gun ban. Ed Sullivan was at the hearing yesterday, and here's some of what he had to say as part of the Illinois State Rifle Association's testimony.
I'm going to quote from Sharon Mitchell, Cook County Public Defender. He wrote an op-ed that basically said there's no Second Amendment on the South Side. He also, that op-ed was in favor of the Bruin decision that you're going to hear from Mr. Vandermine at the end of this. And I quote, "The truth is, laws criminalizing gun possession not only devastate black and brown communities, they also fail to achieve one of their primary objectives, reducing the supply of guns on our streets." I didn't say that. Someone that should know better, that has seen the violence, that has helped communities be restored, said that. Bottom line is this bill keeps alive systemic racism as it applies to the Second Amendment. I can take my firearms, my mags, I can go across the border, I have the means. What about the people that don't? What about the people you're just going to criminalize them? There's over 70 counties in Illinois that are 2A sanctuary counties. Those folks aren't going to get arrested. So who do you think is going to get charged with a Class 2 felony? I think we should listen to Mr. Mitchell.
So Sullivan making the case of the possibility of this being disproportionately enforced on minority communities, and that's a big problem. You also had Todd Vandermide. He's a former lobbyist for the National Rifle Association. He was also with the Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois, but now he's retired, but still very much active in advancing gun owners' rights. And while you heard a lot of the proponents of banning guns saying, hey, there's some federal court cases out there that say you can ban certain magazines or guns, those aren't all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's something that Todd Vandermide yesterday in front of the House Committee, he presented some of the arguments that are now what are courts supposed to be looking at from the U.S. Supreme Court when it comes to guns. Here's Todd Vandermide from yesterday.
If a ban on semi-automatic guns and large capacity magazines reduces the perceived risk from mass shootings and makes the public feel safer, as a result, that's a substantial benefit. If it makes them feel safer is the exact interest balancing approach that the Supreme Court in New York has rejected and forbidden. 4 times in the Friedman decision, they used intermediate scrutiny in their discussion. And then they went on to say the features prohibited by Highland Park's ordinance were not common in 1791. Most guns available then could not fire more than one shot without being reloaded. Heller explicitly addressed this issue. Quote, some have made the argument, bordering on the frivolous, that only those arms in existence in the 18th century are protected by the Second Amendment. We do not interpret constitutional rights that way. Just as the First Amendment protects modern forms of communication and the Fourth Amendment applies to modern forms of search, the Second Amendment extends prima facie to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, even those that were not in existence at the time of the founding. Friedman got it wrong at every turn. The table has been reset, according to the judges of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals at oral arguments last month. One judge, the chief judge, going so far as to say that the Second Amendment has gone from a second-class right to a supercharged right. And I'm here to tell you that the gun owners are tired of being blamed for every madman, every criminal, and every other depraved act that 2.5 million gun owners didn't do.
So Vandermeid also talked about just the enforcement mechanism here and how indeed this is going to be enforced if it's ever implemented and survives some kind of court challenge that's expected to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. So here's more of Vandermeid speaking yesterday at a nearly 5-hour House committee hearing on the proposed gun ban.
I don't know how you're going to enforce this. You can't put us all in jail. Your new bail law just said you can't do that. You will have civil disobedience to where people aren't going to register things. They're not going to surrender things. They're not going to turn them in. So I ask you, what is the enforcement mechanism? Are you going to send the state police house to house? Because as one local law enforcement chief put it in my area, he said, Todd, you're telling me that I have to go potentially arrest my neighbors, people I go to church with, the people on my son's football squad, the people that come over and barbecue, the guys I see in the bar, they're all now felons? I don't think that question has been thoroughly thought through. And so, with that, I think you're going down the wrong road. And to sit there and criminalize 2.5 million people in this state, the numbers that we're talking about here are staggering. And
so Vandermeid highlighting again just how this doesn't seem like it's enforceable, especially, again, when you have 70-plus sanctuary counties for the Second Amendment in Illinois. Fascinating, and, of course, we got more coming up of the debate. We'll take one call here before the break. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Devil's advocate, Greg, because I'm on your side, brother. Justice Alito cited Sir Matthew Hale from the 1700 Salem witch trial. So when it comes to citing things from way back when and going, oh, that can't have anything to do with today, don't worry. Alito set precedent for that. So,
well, but the same can be said about a variety of other old Supreme Court decisions or old statements and writings. I think the Supreme Court recently stated something, and even Sullivan mentioned this when we heard him, and even Vandermeid. You can't take a person's First Amendment rights as based off of what they wrote back in the late 1700s. If that's the case, then you wouldn't be able to make this phone call if it was regulated.
Sure, and I kind of feel like that kind of goes both ways. So I'm not trying to do whataboutism. I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
Right on. We'll hear more. We'll hear more of the debate from the hearing. So I definitely want to give plenty of time for that. Got to take a break though here with Springfield's Morning News on WMAY. Stay tuned. Your forecast coming up. It's not looking pretty with a possibility of some wicked snow and wind. We're looking at a high of 34 today, the low of 31. But then Thursday, rain turning to snow, and then snow could be heavy, with the temperature dropping down to minus 15. That's what it's going to feel like throughout the day, with wind gusts up to 38 miles an hour and 2 to 4 inches possible. Blowing snow Thursday night with a low of minus 6. Can't imagine what the wind chill is going to be. Wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour. Then Friday, widespread blowing snow with a high of only 3. Friday night, patchy blowing snow with the low of minus 1. Saturday, blowing snow with a high of 10. And then for Christmas Day, mostly sunny, a high near 20. Right now, it's 22 degrees at 6:49 from Culver's West on Wabash.
It's time to apply at Culver's West on Wabash. We're hiring all positions, and did we mention free food? Only at Culver's West on Wabash.
Since 1958, Springfield Overhead Doors by Heart has been serving Central Illinois with the highest quality, most dependable garage doors and service. It's because of your loyalty that we continue to grow year after year. Right now, we're looking for experienced technicians, and we offer industry-leading pay and benefits. If you've got the experience and are interested in joining our local, trusted, and family-owned business, get in touch with us. Springfield Overhead Doors by Heart, an equal opportunity employer.
At Ace Sign Company, our family is thankful for 135 years of serving the Springfield community. See how our team of sign professionals can build your brand with truly inspirational signage. Learn more about what Ace Sign Company can do for your business at acesignco.com. Ace Sign Company, built to inspire. Visit us at acesignco.com.
Giving blood while giving back to fight hunger. Right now, when you donate blood at the Impact Life Donor Center, we'll make a $10 donation to Feed America on your behalf. Feed America partners with local food banks. Every $10 donated helps provide 100 meals for people facing hunger. See? Giving blood while giving back to fight hunger. Even if you try to give blood and find out you can't, we're still making a donation to Feed America on your behalf. So don't delay. Make your appointment today. Giving blood is not a big deal, and you're done before you know it. Visit the Impact Life Donor Center today at Wabash and Chatham Road near Goodwill in Springfield, or on South Main Street in Decatur. Please, give what's in your heart, because we are changing the world together. Visit bloodcenter.org.
If you've already donated to a food bank, just let them know. They've got a voucher for a $10 gift card for you instead. Visit bloodcenter.org.
Today, bring in an unwrapped toy for Toys for Tots to BLH, and you can recycle a TV free. Grab that old TV that's been staring at you from the corner of your basement and bring it to BLH in Springfield along with a toy valued at $10 or more. If you have 2 TVs, bring in 2 unwrapped toys. You'll leave feeling great you finally got rid of that old TV, and you'll put a smile on a kid's face for Christmas. BLH Computers on Stevenson Drive. BLHcomputers.com.
The fastest way to head west heaven? Order online and your sub masterpiece will be waiting. HeadWestSubs.com.
I don't want the same old thing. I got a craving for a Head West brownie today. Yeah!
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Some people would call him a loser. He ran for state office. He was beaten. He started a business. He failed. He ran for Congress. He lost. He was nominated for vice president. He lost again. But he knew only those who never tried are the real losers. And Abraham Lincoln was no loser. Persistence. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Springfield's Morning News with Greg Bishop. Weekdays 6 till 9 on 92.7 WMAY.
All right, hearing more from yesterday's nearly 5-hour-long House hearing on a proposal to ban certain types of semi-automatic weapons and magazines over 10 rounds. We've been hearing from the opposition after a slew of proponents from Moms Demand Action to GPAC and more saying that we should ban these weapons. But opponents pushing back saying there's a Second Amendment And a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We'll hear a little bit more of that coming up. But Ed Sullivan, he's with the Illinois State Rifle Association. He, again, reiterated that the State Rifle Association is not willing to negotiate on a proposed gun ban.
When you ask for a gun ban, there is not a place that we can go where we can go and negotiate that. There's certain red lines in the sand. And I hate to say that, but there is.
But what kind of negotiation could possibly happen? State Representative LaShawn Ford, who we talked with earlier this week, he talked about how he's cognizant of the possibility of enhanced penalty enforcement against minority communities, and that's something that may need to be addressed here. But he also heard from some of the opponents of banning guns saying that they support the idea of more resources for certain parts of Chicago, for instance. Here's Representative LaShawn Ford.
And so do I have your support as the NRA members to advocate and stand with us to fight for more resources for the West Side? Because you know what, I might just abandon my members on the Democratic side if you guys could help me bring a whole bunch of money to the West Side, because you guys might have a solution here. So it might just be putting lots of money on the West Side.
Representative, let me give you a statistic.
Yeah, I think you ought to put more money on the West Side, build more stuff. Don't gentrify it and run everybody out. That'll put more of my members and hopefully more of your guys to work too. I'd love to see that, because if they're busy doing that, they're productive people in society. I disagree with the way the marijuana issue was treated and stuff like that. I disagree with the fact that, medical marijuana cards are prohibited under the federal law. You turn around and look at our bail stuff. One thing you guys didn't do, if I get arrested on a battery because some guy grabbed my wife's behind at a bar and I took a poke at him, the minute I'm arrested and that goes into the system, my FOID card's revoked on the arrest, even though the simple battery is not a disqualifying offense. If I get supervision on that, they will take my FOID card and my guns and make me do something else with them, all for issues that are not disqualifying offenses. How does that impact your community when people who get low-level charges and are trying to be law-abiding gun owners now fall into this claptrap to where they have to surrender their FOID card, surrender all their guns, move them out of the house and stuff like that? There's a bail reform thing that I think hurts a lot of people across this state that's not being addressed. I think it's unconstitutional the way it's written. But there are a host of things we can work on.
So hearing a little bit of an idea of what could happen outside of banning guns. And we heard earlier in the debates on this about people saying it's about the hearts and the minds of bad actors that needs to be a focus. But Representative Denise Stoneback, she is a Democrat and a organizer of a gun control group. She was a lobbyist before becoming a lawmaker. She tried to press members that were in opposition to this about what the Second Amendment means. And again, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Apparently, she says on the NRA headquarters in Washington, D.C., it only has half of that. I don't know that, but here's Denise Stoneback talking a bit about the Second Amendment from her understanding.
Because we have in HB 5855 regulations around firearms. And on the building of the headquarters of the organization that you represent, there is half of the Second Amendment.
But the other half is, of course, this shall not be infringed. It's kind of fascinating to hear her argue that a well-regulated militia means to provide for laws and regulations. And I think that you can push back on that and say, well, no, a well-regulated militia means having something that's in good working order. But all in all, after 5 hours, State Representative Justin Slaughter, who chairs the committee, he said that they're not done yet. There's still a lot more to debate on all of this.
Obviously, this plane has not landed. With that said, this is our last hearing this year. This calendar year. As I stated in the beginning, please look forward to more robust discussion and more hearings.
So we'll obviously be covering all of that and more right here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, where we stream live as well. Be sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification and all of that. Ding, ding, ding. All right. Springfield's Morning News. Again, I'm Greg Bishop.